Oh, Lord. Again. A fucking again. Nothing new, nothing changed, same old shit.
Hello, talented, brilliant, incredible, amazing, show-stopping, spectacular individuals. Welcome to whatever the fuck this is, in which we'll be discussing After Ever Happy. Okay, so this is the fourth movie of the After franchise, which still keeps fucking going for some reason. So sadly I watched the previous three movies, and those had such a curious ability of dragging themselves continuously, going on and on and on without anything actually happening. These two had the same repetitive formula. They had sets, they fought, they made amends. They had sets, they fought, they made amends. Over and over and over again. The first movie was really fucking long for what it was. The plot didn't justify that ridiculous runtime. It had long ass scenes that heavily affected the pacing, making it boring. The second film was considerably more entertaining. The plot had more meat. I love that they decided to focus in more things other than Tessa and Hardin's relationship. But this one enraged me more than the first movie, because seeing how they wasted the best character by far was seriously nerve-wracking. Like, Tessa, here you have a guy right here that worries about your financial situation, got you a car, and you just sent him away. I mean, if you didn't want to date him, that's totally fine. You don't have to date someone you don't have to. But why do you have to go with Hardin, who's a literal piece of filth in every single way imaginable? But whatever. The third film was, well, it was a movie, I guess. I don't really remember anything that happened because it was filled with irrelevant and uninteresting shit. But whatever, this video is about the fourth one, so let's get into it. White name Troy. The movie begins with a recap of the previous one. Okay, so Hardin's mother, Trish, this cute lady right here who I like very much, is getting married with her neighbor, but then Hardin and Tessa catch her making out with Tessa's boss, Vance. So Hardin is pretty mad at this because his mom is about to get married and everything, but he proceeds to call her a slut. And I'm sorry, I know that cheating is a very bad thing, but you don't talk to your mother that way, you fucking mongering piece of ass, and much less hitting people that call you on it. So whatever, right before that, it is revealed that Vance is actually Hardin's father, and everything I just told you literally comes out of fucking nowhere. There was no kind of build up and anything is just thrown out there for drama, I guess. So whatever, this movie continues right after Vance confessed the truth to Hardin. So he goes to his mother's wedding, slightly confronting her about this revelation, and then storming off without letting her speak or say anything at all, fucking obviously. He starts to drink a lot of whiskey until he's approached by Vance, who tells him why everything that happened came to place. Hardin storms off and Tessa goes after him. She finds him in front of his mother's house. He's drunk as hell and very angry. So he breaks into the house and fucking sets it on fire.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, but that's some exaggeration of great scale. Like, I know he just found out his life was a lie and whatever, but why do you have to burn your mother's house? Jesus Christ. And by the way, the house is interconnected with other buildings and apartments, so you're not only destroying your mother's home, you're also risking other properties of people who are not to blame for everything that has happened. And I'm sorry, but I do not think all of the mess he just went through is enough reason to carry out something as grotesque as burning your mother's house. I mean, you have the right to be mad, I understand, I guess that's fine, but why did you have to do that to your own mother who has been nothing but nurturing to you? I do not think that mistake warranted that reaction. And the worst of all is that when Vance arrives right after all of that, Hardin lets it clear that all of his grudge is on him, and he says to him out loud, "Where were you when she was being beat up?" implying that his anger is on Vance for not showing up, not on his mother. So why the fuck did you burn her damn house down, you fucking psycho?
I'm having a fucking panic attack right now. I need to calm the fuck down because I'm having a panic attack.
So anyways, Vance convinces Hardin to get out and he and Tessa leave the scene on his car. Tessa drives and drives until they're very far and she stops at a spot and they have sex in the car. A scene framed in an obvious romantic tone because of the music when there's nothing romantic about it, especially considering what just happened. But whatever, we're used to it right now, so anyways. They go back to the hotel where Tessa speaks to Kimberly, Vance's wife, about her feelings surrounding all of Hardin's problem and how she's getting tired of having to deal with all of them. And to that I say, I don't know, leave?
Súbete, vamos al psicólogo.
But anyways, Vance shows up and lets Tessa know that Hardin left the hotel, and they show him leaving with a dumb stupid song in the background, I guess to try to make us think that he's so cool because he takes no shit from anyone and he is leaving, you guys. When literally the only thing I get from him is terror and fear at his presence. He is genuinely scary and creepy. But anyways, he goes to a crack house and Tessa dresses up to go get him, obviously. So she gets inside of the crack house and approaches Hardin to find him with another woman, and this obviously enrages her, so she gives him an ultimatum: either you go with me or it's over, bitch. And Hardin makes it seem like he's going to stay, so his friend very unscrupulously gets close to her with pretty predatory undertones, and the attitude with which he did it, I can't. I hate this movie. But anyways, Hardin takes Tess outside and basically tells her to leave, and thankfully, she does. And now, come on Hardin, do your thing. Yes, hit the fucking wall and do an alpha scream like the big man-child that you are. Thank you. Jesus, Hardin has this weird habit where he repeatedly tells Tessa to get away from him, that he's a bad influence on her, and when she actually does leave, he gets mad. And for what, you ask her to? I do not understand you, goddammit. Why can't you just be coherent for once in your life, my man? Fuck, you see, this is why I don't feel bad for you. Even when the movie is framing you with this sad song, trying to make me say, oh, poor little bitch, he has went through so much in life, he does not deserve this. Like, the only thing that causes in me is laughter at how ridiculously made it is. And I'm sorry, this is a very personal opinion, but I do not feel a drop of empathy towards this man, especially after what he does at the end of the film. But we're not there yet, so bear with me. Whatever, Tessa goes back to the US, and when she enters her house, she literally starts to hallucinate, seeing herself and Hardin on several spots of the place, and when her vision ends, their shapes literally disintegrate. They turn to dust. And it's so fucking funny because literally, why? What was the reason of that shot? Is Thanos part of the Hardin style cinematic universe and I wasn't aware or something? I really can't imagine how real people came up with that shot, filmed it, edited it, and said, yeah, that totally fits on this ridiculous toxic radioactive movie. 100% Academy Award, we love it. But anyways, Tessa keeps walking around the house until she finds her father's dead body, apparently deceased thanks to an overdose. Tessa has a breakdown and returns to her mother's house. Landon then proceeds to call Hardin. I don't know why, because Tessa doesn't want to fucking see him, and then Hardin gets mad and tells Landon that he is the one Tessa needs. And excuse me, you fucking asshole, that is not true. It's literally the total opposite. Please, for the love of God, disappear.
2 shots of vodka.
Sadly, he doesn't do that because he is a parasite, so the very next day he shows up at her house. I guess these people are rich because they can just take flights from Seattle to London and from London to Seattle like it's nothing. I mean, good for them, I guess, but whatever. Hardin enters Tessa's room for much of her dismay, and even after she repeatedly says she does not want him there, he's still fucking insisting. And after that, Tessa's mother speaks to him, questioning if his presence is good for her daughter or not. You know, perfectly fair, just a worried mother concerning about what's best for her daughter. And this little bitch replies in the most rude way possible, and she's literally in the right. She was always in the right, but for some reason the previous movies antagonize her for not wanting her daughter to date an alcoholic piece of shit. Pero sí, Tessa says to Hardin how sorry she is for not being able to fix him, when that is not your responsibility, and I expected Hardin to say something like, no, you're not responsible for solving all of my problems and my mental health. That is something that I have to deal with myself, and only myself. Oh, who am I fucking kidding? It's Hardin, he obviously wouldn't say that. That's too much human sense and basic human decency. My bad. Whatever, next day Tessa goes to her father's funeral where she expresses in a speech how happy it made her to rekindle her relationship with him, even if it was only for a moment. Landon lets the audience know that Hardin paid for the funeral. With what money? I don't know, I guess Vance, because he's his daddy now. So anyways, Tessa has a conversation with Hardin in which he tells her he wants to be there for her, apologizing for not realizing it sooner. And you know what? If this was another movie, I would have loved it. Character development, how sweet. But honey, this is after, and the person who said that is no other than Hardin Styles. So I'm sorry, but I do not believe absolutely anything that comes from your mouth. The only context in which I see myself tolerating your presence is you being far, far, far away from Tessa and in prison, but that one is optional, so however you like. So anyways, Tessa tells him that she doesn't want anything from him anymore. Taking steps, that is great, I love that for you. And after that, Tessa leaves her position at Vance Publishing to move to New York with Landon, searching for a fresh start. And this part right here honestly surprised me. Some people might say that Tessa's really stupid for abandoning a good paying job to go to New York, but in my opinion, if that's what you need to be able to move forward with this unfortunate event and be in a better place emotionally, then you do you. I am genuinely rooting for her. After that, Hardin and the man who he thought was his father have such a sweet moment in which he assures Hardin that he will always be his son no matter what. Very cute and whatever, but I just can't take it seriously with that cheesy song they put in the background. The scene would be better if it didn't have any music, but who cares? After that, they both go to a cabin with Hardin's not biological father to say goodbye to Landon, who will be leaving to New York the next day. And Tessa takes that chance to say to Hardin, by the way, I'm leaving too, and she honestly tells him that in a very mature way. She says, we both fight more than we get along, and every time we reconcile is over sex, and the only way we can both have time apart from each other is if I do this. And obviously Hardin replies in a Hardin styles way of responding. But sex is healthy. We've been having lots of consensual sex. Yeah, right, except that one time in the second film when you did it with her while she was intoxicated. And before someone says, but no, she was the one who wanted it, I don't care. She was drunk, and drunk people cannot give consent under any circumstance. You should have left, sweetie. But anyways, Hardin gets very upset and predisposes to hit Landon, blaming him for Tessa's decision before stepping away to do what he knows best. Yeah, you guessed it, do your thing once again, Hardin. Yes, Alpha scream. Alphas will be very proud of you, but whatever. Congratulations to Tessa for making the mature decision to actually develop a change for the better. I am very proud of you and I wish you the utmost best in everything.
She's got a point. She's an icon. She's a legend, and she is the moment. Now come on now.
Anyways, Tessa moves to New York with Landon, who receives her very happily, and she finds out that Hardin graduated from university, seeing him with his dad on the most horrendously edited photos ever. Like, what the fuck is that? And also, how did he even graduate? Because on these movies, we have only ever seen Hardin being an alcoholic parasite. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but besides the first movie, I have never ever seen this man in a classroom. Pretty strange, but who gives a fuck? He graduated, good for him, I guess. And after that, we see him go to an AA meeting, and honestly, good for you. Good for you for doing something actually helpful to yourself instead of crawling back to being the detrimental fuck we all know. And now Tessa is working at a fancy restaurant alongside Nora. She's a lot more happier, she's laughing, and to be honest, who wouldn't after finally being separated from such a pathetic bitch? So X, 5 fucking months passed, and it truly surprised me that they actually took time apart from each other, because I thought that Hardin will break Tessa's wish by visiting her without her wanting it and then proceed to have a toxic fight and then make up and end up together, you know, the classic after finale, but they didn't do that, and that's great. So anyways, we learn through Tessa that Hardin is coming to New York for a reason no one knows. I hope, but you'll see. Anyways, apparently Landon is going to let him stay at his house, so therefore Tessa will have to take double turns to not see him. But then Landon brings him to her work. Like, I understand that you would want him to stay at your place because you're like brothers and whatever, but why did you have to bring him to Tessa knowing very well she doesn't want to see him? She was taking her time to be away from him, and you're basically forcing her to get together with Hardin even when she's not really ready. What kind of friend are you, God? She was doing so magnificently well without him, but no, you had to come here and ruin that. And I know that Hardin was the one that wanted to come, but as a friend, Landon should have said that Tessa still wasn't prepared to meet with him and that they should only do so when they're both ready. And he didn't even tell her that they will come. He just arrived at the restaurant with Hardin. I'm sorry, but he didn't have to catch Tessa off guard like that. What kind of fucking friend are you, Landon? So whatever, I'm going to summarize the next 20 minutes because I'm sick. So as expected, Tessa and Hardin get in contact again. They start cooking together and they almost have intercourse, which made me realize that up until this point, they have only had sex once, and compared to the previous films where they made it once every 57 seconds, it's a huge improvement. Congratulations to the film for having somewhat of a story. Whatever, a few scenes later they have sex, and the day after that Hardin leaves to do something, and Tessa finds a book titled After, written by no other than fucking Hardin Styles. She begins to read it and notices that Hardin literally revealed every single detail of their relationship in that book, even all of Tessa's problems, including her father's death and her infertility. She's obviously very fucking confused by this bullcrap, so when Hardin gets home she questions him, and guess what? Hardin didn't just wrote that book for no reason. He literally came to New York intending to close a deal with a publisher to have that book released, and all of that without Tessa's knowledge. I mean, he says that he started that book as a kind of diary to figure out what was going on in his head, and that's totally fine, it doesn't hurt anyone, whatever, but you're getting that book released. A book that details very intimately all of the personal struggles of the woman you say you love, and you didn't even tell her about it, like nothing. And then he says, what's the point of everything we've been through if we can channel that into something that helps people? And I'm sorry, you fucking piece of shit, but if you want to reveal personal experiences and completely expose someone's private life, don't you think you should ask them first? Like, Hardin, what you did is utterly indefensible, and I don't care that you say that the book is a story about understanding and unconditional love when you two have been nothing but harmful and detrimental to each other.
I'm having a fucking panic attack right now. I need to calm the fuck down because I'm having a panic attack.
Whatever, Tessa ends things, and Hardin, instead of listening to her complaints, he continues the deal with the publisher and the book gets released.
Well, just as I thought, trash.
Whatever, a few scenes passes and Hardin's book was pretty successful. He even had an article dedicated to him on the New York Times, and some days later Tessa enters a library in which Hardin is reading his book to a public. He says some words and then the movie ends with Tessa leaving the library, and I really thought that was it. But then it appeared. To be continued, obviously.
Oh my God.
After everything that happened, after all of the development that Tessa and Hardin got, I was expecting it would end, with them separated and gone for good. It had the potential to end that way, but after wastes the only redeemable quality it could have had in order of sequel and more money. 4 out of 10.
I'm tired, man. I'm tired, damn it.
So whatever, another movie is on the way, and once again, I really hope these two don't get together anymore. The director of the third and fourth film, Castiel Landon, said that what drew her to the project was its message of love isn't always beautiful. And while I agree on that, I think that justifying all of After's red flags and toxic elements on that quote is just really far away from the truth. Love isn't always beautiful. That's completely true, but there is levels. There can be a lot of fights and disagreements in a relationship, but the moment these bad parts outweigh the good ones, leading the members of the relationship to commit several actions that are unhealthy to themselves and those around them, that's the moment the relationship should end. Hardin and Tessa are at their best when they're far away from each other. Even though I don't like Hardin at all, it was great seeing him in therapy taking action to resolve his shit in ways that don't involve Tessa. Damn, I was almost even sort of glad for him until the book thing. You can have your character development and that's great, good for you, but you should stay away from Tessa as away from her as possible, and if you really loved her you will do that and you wouldn't have published that book. So like I said, another movie is on the way, and look, I know this may sound crazy, but I am saving some hope that maybe, just maybe, the producers of the movie will take some creative licenses and whatever and make Hardin and Tessa actually separate on the next installment for good, like not a fake out or anything, actually separating them and make them go on different paths. Like I want Tessa to be happy, like I'm genuinely rooting for her and her emotional stability, and I keep faith that the producers will see this and make these two grow apart from each other. I know it sounds unreal, but hey, soñar no cuesta nada. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you, and goodbye.